Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, traders. Steve here at Logic FX Trading. Welcome to our trading room recording on Tuesday, the 10th of August, 2021. Quick look at the economic calendar. Inflation rate in China come in a little bit higher than expected, as did Mexico. So there's an inflationary charge out there at the minute, guys. Is it to do with transitory costs, transitory inflationary pressures, or is it a long-term problem that the world economy is going to have to face? That's the thing we don't know. So far, the Fed says it's transitory. We'll have to see. At some point, they're going to have to taper, and at some point, they're going to have to start to push up the US interest rates, and we'll just keep an eye on when that's going to happen, guys. Over to today, we've got economic sentiment in Europe. Not really all that concerned about sentiment. And then tomorrow, we've got inflation rate in Germany, core inflation rate in the United States. Guys, this is probably the biggest news of the week. We'll have to see how that comes in and how the dollar and the stock markets in the US are affected by that. Over the Flipboard, talked about this. All the Chinese stocks, as you know, had a drawdown over the last lot of weeks and months, guys, mainly due to concerns about regulation by the Communist Party in the Chinese nation. But the underlying fundamentals of these companies are still very, very strong, guys. When I say these companies, I'm talking about the big boys, the likes of Alibaba, Tencent, and Baidu are the ones that I invested in. They're the ones that I know something about, guys. I see Tencent finally come into the green for me. So probably just put the stop loss to 0 and let that run. It comes back down, guys. Alibaba got out of the other day because every now and again I do a little purge, guys, where I take stuff off the table because I'm getting a little bit concerned about, correction. So Alibaba is one of those that I took off the table, with a few dollars in the green. So I bought into it again this morning. Well, it hasn't opened yet, but I put the order in, guys. Major Ethereum change explained about the London hard fork. I don't claim to be an expert in crypto whatsoever, but I do like to read things and keep myself up to date. And then slowly but surely, drip by drip, you do start to get understanding of what's happening. We'll not go into that at the moment, guys, but for anyone that wants to read it, it's there. Market baby in the biggest bubble of my career. All-star investor Richard Bernstein warns. Certainly looks that way, guys. I've been through a couple of bubbles myself. .com bubble, I lived through that. 87, I wasn't trading back there, but there was a correction back then, guys, which I was aware of. Then with the .com bubble burst, I was trading then, and luckily it just sold up before it crashed. And then we had the last one with the subprime, taking all the banks down and everything else with it. So I had four, if you want to include last year. I forgot about that one. So I've been through 4 major corrections, guys. So they happen. And when you've been through a few, it just makes you a little bit more conservative in the way that you trade. 3 stocks will shape the future of technology. Quick look at that. I think this is a Motley Fool. Shopify, Tesla, and Facebook. Guys, the more I learn about Tesla, the more I love the company and what they're trying to do. We all know what Facebook is, and Shopify's a newer version of Amazon. I don't like their price to earnings ratios, etc. And not that I'm keen on Teslas either. So I'm not in Tesla. But if the price of Tesla come down a little bit more, guys, I might well be interested in it. Remembering that Tesla isn't just a car company. They are producing cars at the moment, but they're essentially a software company, guys. And the earnings down the line for software and also the whole charging thing. But when autonomous vehicles become legal and there could be a long time between now and when that happens. But when that happens, Tesla will be a forefront of that because they're a software company and not just a car manufacturing company. So first of all, there'll be annual contributions of updates to whatever software is in the vehicle. But over and above that, the autonomous taxi industry, guys, whereby, as far as I understand it, the way it would work would be that Tesla wouldn't have its own fleet of taxis. What they will do is allow you to sign up. You buy your Tesla, a certain model, whatever it may be, and then they bring it into your payments and say, right, you can reduce your payments on the car by allowing us to use it as a taxi for the first 2 or 3 years. And then you would allocate slots where you go, right, I never use it at night time, so it can be taxiing at night. I don't use it at the weekends or whatever it may be. On a Sunday afternoon, I'm always doing X, Y, Z, don't need the car. And you could allocate it time slots. Maybe you're in work all day, you're in the office all day long from a certain time of the day to, the evening, 6 o'clock, you come out. You're in central London, parking's costs a fortune, or New York, or wherever you are, guys. And then you can go to Tesla, bang, press the button or hit the app or whatever it is, say my car's now available for taxiing. So the 8 hours that you're in work, your car's busy earning money for you, guys. That's how it's been explained. I can't remember exactly where I came across that information. It was either a YouTube video or a documentary on TV. And that kind of blew me away a wee bit. I thought, wow. Having said that, that's a long time down the road. And do you really want to pay the price for that now? Well, that's the question, guys. Depends on how long a term investor you are. So I think Tesla's a great company. If it dropped a little bit more, I might be interested in buying into it, guys. Okay, and we'll do more detailed, that's just off the top of my head, guys. We'll do more detailed analysis of individual companies going forward, because I do think that this recording needs to start to reflect my portfolio rather than what I was doing last year and the year before, which was looking at currencies, guys. But it's kind of a little routine, so we're putting it out there, generating a little bit of interest in what I'm doing, and it will evolve into something that's more to do with stocks, guys. Okay, so that's that last one here. Why this investor just compared Moderna to Amazon, sees 500% upside. Haven't read that yet, guys, but it's there for you to look at. Just over to the portfolio, we clawed back a little bit yesterday, folks. Hopefully we can get into the green for this month and start getting our total moving forward. Remember, our target is 20% for the year. Doesn't mean that you can't, in any given year, beat that. But we're still kind of on target. If we can get into the green this month, then I would say, yeah, we would still be in target for 20% for the year. Some years we'll not make it. Some years we will make it, guys. That's the plan anyway. As far as individual stocks, yesterday I'm still doing the thing where if it get 5%, I'm taking it, guys. And that's me being conservative, waiting for a correction. If we go to history, that's what we're after. Yesterday, I bought GoPro at 2 o'clock, and by 5 o'clock it made 6%, so I bought it. It had dropped midway through the day, and I bought another one, another trade on it, put another trade. I've left that one on, and it's about 4, just under 5%. I may well just leave that on for a while, guys. Bido, I took a little bit off the table with Bido, guys. I had too many trades on it for my liking, so one of them came into the green, and I just took it off the table. That was, just taking some money off the table. The same with Swiss, was it Credit Suisse? I had a couple of trades on with it, guys. I just took one of them off. That's all that is. And the pound yen started coming back down. I just thought, I'm getting out of this. And Baba took off the table a few days ago, and as I mentioned, I just bought back into it. And the one bad trade of the week was USD Swiss, and I'm becoming even less and less interested in trading currencies, guys. The other one, on the 28th, we bought a plug, and it popped yesterday. 3 trades on it, so I took that one, 6.3%. I thought, okay, that'll do for the day. But that GoPro was a nice little pop we had yesterday. I know I haven't talked about it on here before, but I am practicing doing those. I want them to be good, guys, and at the minute I'm not au fait with doing the videos on them so they're nice and slick. So I'm doing a bit of practice in the background, guys. Once they're slick, I'll start banging those out 2 or 3 a week, talking about individual stocks, or stock recommendations. And then just going back to here, portfolio. There was another one I bought into yesterday that did okay for me. Tyson Foods popped 3% in one day, guys. Bought it on the 9th of the 8th, obviously yesterday, and went up 3% on the day, which was another nice little trade there, guys. Let's get over to the charts, starting with the yen. It's dropping as I expected, guys. I fully expect it to continue to drop down through here. Nasdaq, it's still creeping up, folks. I suspect it will, but it's gone up with less va-va-voom than it was going here. So there could be a little bit more upside to it, and then maybe we get our correction into next month sometimes, guys. And I'm being very aware of that. But if that happens, we should get a good return on our defensive stocks, which are the thing that's been pulling us down, certainly the last few weeks. But you need to take a longer term view on stocks, guys. You can't just be, it's not a day-to-day thing. I know I'm kind of not literally day trading it, but I'm trading it in such a way that if I do get a good return in any particular day, I'm taking it off the table. But it's because of my belief that we're in a bubble and we will get a drawdown, and I just don't want to go through it with 100% of my assets, guys. So we've about 50%. If we go over here, and where do you find this? Oh, you can't find it on here. About 50% of the money in the account is in cash at the moment, guys. So that's kind of my view of what's happening. Dow Jones, certainly there could be a bit more upside, but there's going to be a correction, guys. S&P, same thing. There could be a bit of upside, but there's going to be a correction. Nikkei is correcting. And when I say a correction, guys, I'm talking about something maybe like this, maybe a little bit sharper, but we're not talking about a market crash like we had last year. Just a period of a few months where things will prices will come down. They're just too expensive at the moment, folks. And then that will provide us good opportunities to get into good companies. And what we'll do between now and then is we'll line those companies up. We'll do the videos on them. And then when we're ready to buy them, then I'll start to say, hey, guys, do you remember 2-3 weeks ago or 2-3 months ago, we talked about this stock or that stock? It's hitting our target for the price to get into. So let's start buying them. UK index, yeah, it's continuing to push up. Remember, it's still undervalued compared to where it was before the crash. So there's still upside to it, guys. We talk about it every day. Remembering when we draw these, just in case anyone doesn't know, when we draw these, that means that would be a good place to buy into this particular chart. Doesn't mean I expect that to happen. Personally, I expect it to push on up. French, just like that. I mean, there was the correction there. It dropped like a stone and bang, look at it. Perhaps it runs flat for a little while, guys. German, same thing, expecting that to break out. China, expecting it to recover. Hong Kong would be the same thing. Nice little push up yesterday. Remember this in 4 hours. Expect it to recover. Now, it could recover like that, guys. So, it could end up doing something like this. but I do think it'll recover. Aussie, yeah, it looked pretty like the German, except it's already had its breakout. I would look for a correction in that before looking to trade on up. The Russell, I do think eventually the Russell will break out, but we could have a correction first, guys, before it happens. We've talked about that before. DXY, my old pal that I really don't know what's going on with it at the minute. Thankfully, I got out of that trade that I was in because it's pushed on up since then. Could be coming into a little double top situation. The market's waiting to see what the Fed are going to say and what they're going to do. They're probably waiting as well for this on the 11th, which is tomorrow, these inflation figures. If these come in high again, you could well see the dollar pushing on up through here, guys. But if they come in low, obviously it'll do the opposite. That's all we can say on it. And then this will do the opposite of whatever DXY does. The pound, I'm quite bullish on the pound at the moment, folks. But obviously with the dollar, we're not entirely sure what's going on. But look, it hasn't pulled back that much considering what the DXY's done, guys. Look at what DXY's done. Look at what the pound USD's done. It's pulled back, but it's pulled back in a little zigzag. I think the next move for this could well be long. Aussie, if the dollar pushes on up tomorrow, obviously you'll get that. If it doesn't, you'll get a move up. But that's no setup for, well, it's certainly not a setup for going long, guys. Don't try and trade that long. New Zealand will look the same. It's no setup for going long. It's a diagonal, guys. And even if it does go long, I'd just leave it at the minute until we find out exactly what's going on with the dollar. And there's the same thing there going on, guys. Let's have a look at the oil price. Keep an eye on the GDP figures, guys. If those GDP figures come in hot, then oil's not going anywhere. But if they do come in low, then you could see more downside to oil. But I would say oil's ready to pull back into here again, which would be good for the CAD. So if you get that drawdown on, and remember, if the dollar drops, part of that drop in the oil price was the dollar going long, guys. So if the dollar drops, then the oil price will automatically go up, which would boost the CAD and it would boost this. So it's all back to DXY, guys. If the dollar drops, then we'll have a lovely trade there. And it'll be the same with this. If the dollar drops, this will drop. But I'll not be trading any of these, guys. I'm a lot keener on trading stocks at the minute. US yen, there's it pushing up. And of course, the reason it's pushing up is the yen's dropping, the dollar's getting stronger. And you're seeing that push down. Remembering that the yen dollar index, the yen index is essentially the opposite of this, the inverse of it. If we go up into here and we put, I'm not sure, say this in, and then we go, oops, that was the wrong one I did there. Sorry, guys, changed the wrong one. Can I go backward on this? Let's go backward. Take it back to there. Highlight this one and then go yen and pull them across. And it's not exact, but you can see when that was dropping, that was going long. When this was dropping here, let me see. No, it's not. Well, that's good to know. There is a bit of a correlation, but it's not as correlated as I thought it was going to be, folks. Because I was thinking that drop there was corresponding to that push up, which it is doing, but that's because the dollar's gone long and the yen's gone short at the same time. So, okay, let's get out of that. So if the yen continues to drop, there shouldn't be a downside to this, but I wouldn't jump in there. If it gives you some sort of setup, then maybe you look to trade it up. Yes, Swiss. Well, yet again, with this one, we were looking for it to drop, guys, because we were looking for the dollar to drop, but it's done the exact opposite. And the reason it's done the opposite, obviously, is because the gold price dropped because the dollar went long, and obviously then the Swiss, which is 25% based on the gold price, went short. So you got the double whammy again, guys. So that anyone that called that, they've had a really nice trade there, guys. Gold. It flash crash, it come up. What we were basically saying when we were here, we said, listen, chances are it'll drop there. Didn't want it to drop to there because I'd got long in the gold here somewhere. I got long in the gold here, guys, and it moved up and it took profits. And then I thought, let's get into it again somewhere around here. And then we went through that. And now we're through that. That's a zigzag, guys, coming back down into there. Can it go further? It can do whatever it wants, but I suspect that from here it will start to go long again. What we don't know at the minute is whether this is going to close that gap again and then go long, or whether it's just going to hang around here for a while and start to come up. Gold's a long-term bet, guys, but I do think it will come nice for us. I'm in it now. I'm in the red with it now. I'm not going to be getting out of it anytime soon. And when it does come right again, then obviously that particular month, or those particular months, the account will see, a nice upside to it over and above whatever else we're doing at the time. Silver the same, had the flash crash, came back up. We said that often you'll get a flash crash and then price will come back down into there before going long. And possibly that's what's happening, guys. But I do think the next move will be up. Bitcoin continuing to push on up. Too late for me. I'm out of it. I need a correction. That's the reason I drew this in. So yet again, we need a correction if we want to get into Bitcoin. Ethereum, same thing. It's pushed on up, guys. You're going to need a correction in order to get into it. If you're already in it, fair enough. Get your stop to zero and hope that it goes to the moon. And that's the most important thing, guys. Get things away from zero so you don't lose your capital. Oil, as we spoke about. Euro CAD, I don't know, don't want to trade it. Look at it, it's all over the place. Euro Oz, looking for a bit more downside, and then maybe there's going to be an upside to it. You make up your mind when it gets there. Euro New Zealand kind of has got there. And the big decision now is, do you try and trade it long against the nice push up we've had in the euro recently, the dollar, or the New Zealand dollar. But look at that chart yet again, guys. It's going to be one of those ones. You get in, you get out, you get in, you get out. And the difficulty is that once it's developed a bit, you get in here hoping that it's going to do that, and then this is the time that it drops, guys. So there's that danger, so just be careful of that. Euro Yen, I think there's possibly upside to this because we're looking at downside to the yen. Same with the Swiss, which is why we put that alarm in there last week. It's already broken out. So yet again, you're looking for some sort of setup to try and trade that up. Pound CAD, I'll not be trading. Pound Aussie, probably not unless we got a bit more downside to it. Pound New Zealand, already pushing up, but as we said the other day, you could well end up in a situation like that. So if it drops again, then maybe you get into it if you're not already in. Pound Swiss, same with all the rest of them, guys. It's just taken off. This was a nice trade. You're going to have to wait for a bit of consolidation before maybe trading it further up. Pound Euro, same thing. You're looking for a consolidation before trying to trade it up. Pound Yen, there's this, and this is the one I closed out the other day, guys. Basically, sometimes what happens with me is that I put a trade on, And when it goes good, I either take my 5% or allow it to sit at 2 or 3% waiting for it to go 5%. But it moved back down towards zero. I just take it off, guys. I just clear it. And that's the defensive mode that I'm in at the moment. That doesn't mean we're going to be doing that forever. That's just what we're doing at the moment, guys. So was it a good idea to close it? Probably not, guys. Probably not. But it was nearing zero anyway. So what, you can always just buy into it again. And yes, there is a bit of a buy-in cost. But I was more concerned about this maybe doing something like that before coming up again and then getting caught in that. And I just don't like getting caught in things like that, guys. I'm not saying that's going to happen. This could well push up out of there. But if you were wanted to buy into this, you'd have to wait for at least a drawdown into there, guys, before it went. Aussie Yen, I think that one will go long, guys. AUDJPY. I think we said that earlier in the week as well. Aussie New Zealand, my old pal. I don't know what's going on with it at the minute, so I'm going to leave it alone. Aussie Swiss on the way up. Aussie CAD, leave it alone. Unless the oil price were to crash, I can't see that necessarily taking off, guys. Look at how it moved here. It could end up running flat for a while. Swiss yen, we've had quite a pull down, as we talked about at length over the last few days. If this got down into there, I would certainly look at trading it long. That's not where it is yet, so I'll leave it. CAD, Swiss, yes, nice. Yet again, looking for a setup on it, guys. No setup at the minute. CAD yen, potentially. Particularly if the oil price comes back up, but then the dollar would have to fall for that, guys. But I do think there's upside to that. New Zealand yen, I think there's upside to that. New Zealand CAD, don't know about that one, guys. And New Zealand Swiss, well, there's upside to that. We've been saying that from a way back here, guys. Let's just put an arrow on there. Okay, that's it for the day, guys. Physical gold, just have a quick look at that. I do want to buy into it again, but as I say, the account's overexposed to gold at the minute. So, not overexposed, fully exposed would be a better word. So, if it were to really drop again, something like that, which I hope it doesn't, but if it were to, I'd certainly look in there. I'd certainly look in there to buy long. Okay, guys, that's it for the day. Keep an eye out for all the changes that are going to come, and bye for now.